Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kinga and I apologize in advance for the sound that you may hear during the video. I'm currently close to a military air base or airfield where fighter jets are actively operated for regular exercise and training sessions, and you will probably hear the noise of the Gripen engines or other types of military aircraft. I'm not an expert. I just wanted to warn you about it because it's been pretty active today. So today's video is about what does judging others say about you. And I used to be one of the most judgmental people you could ever meet. Very highly detail-oriented, which is a strength in many areas, but I think it led me to scrutinize the tiniest things about others. And I would just analyze how their hair was cut, because I used to be a hairdresser, imagine what hairstyle might suit them better, think about how their eyebrows could be shaped differently, whatever my current obsession was at the time or in the moment. And you could say that I was just being observant, and that's true to a degree, but my observations didn't stop there. They came with opinions and criticisms a lot of the times, and I judged people's behavior as well, personalities, appearance, and looking back, I realized that whenever I was at my most judgmental, I was also in a less loving and accepting place with myself. And as I became more loving and accepting of myself, I noticed something unexpected. I was also less afraid of being judged by others. Or maybe just an age thing, I'm not sure. But over the past few weeks, I stepped far outside of my comfort zone by going to saunas and swimming pools, different places that I used to avoid because of my discomfort with being seen in a bathing suit and my sensitivity around hygiene. But something shifted. As I kind of immersed myself in these experiences, I realized that I wasn't judging anyone around me. And in turn, I felt less judged too. I was more at ease and more confident and just simply present with my own body instead of worrying about how others might perceive me. It was just such a liberating feeling, and it showed me how deeply our inner world shapes our outer experience. And I also became, how would I say, more conscious or more aware. And I just started to observe my family's behavior from a distance, and something clicked. I noticed how often they judged others and spoke critically behind people's backs, and how this behavior was not just harmful, but also toxic at times. And I decided that it wasn't something that I wanted to be part of and entertain, and I didn't want to keep practicing this myself. And I know that I grew up around this, so it was the norm, but I was able to look at it from outside at 40-something, finally, and see the wrongness of it, which is another judgment, you can say that. But I decided that this was not something that I wanted to be part of. I wanted to stop doing this. And I also understood two critical things. First, I realized that this behavior was a way of bonding for people, including me. Talking negatively about a third person to create a sense of connection is something a lot of us actually use. And when someone agrees with our judgment, it kind of feels validating, as if we were on the same page or in the same team. And I copied this pattern throughout my life. I would judge someone and share my thoughts with someone that I believed would share the same opinion. And I believe it was less about the other person and more about seeking validation for myself and connection. Second observation of mine is that I realized something deeper. All these judgments, whether from my family or myself, were not objective truths. They were just point of views. For example, I observed a family member, a close family member of mine, criticizing others at a gathering, and I disagreed with everything she said. Her judgments didn't align with my perception of those people at all. Yet we were looking at the same people. And this made me realize that judgments are entirely subjective. They are stories that we create based on our own traumas, beliefs, past experiences, and personal filters. And that moment was also a revelation, because if her judgments about others were simply her stories, her personal views, then the things she had said about me in the past, growing up, or even in this particular gathering, whether to my face or behind my back, weren't true either. So all those criticisms from this person that had made me feel small or not good enough my whole life, all those criticisms that I believed to be true about me, weren't actually based on facts. They were just her perspective, or maybe her way of bonding with others, I don't know, but they were not true. And this realization was incredibly liberating. It allowed me to step out of the shadow of judgment, both from others and myself, and understanding that judgments are not truths, but reflections of personal biases, stories based on someone's past life experience, pain, trauma, personal point of view, gave me the power to let them go and helped me become more compassionate and accepting toward myself and others. And a few weeks ago, I attended a group meeting where we paired up to give each other sessions. And after my session, I wasn't feeling well. I was pretty unwell, actually. And later, one of the ladies messaged me privately, kind of criticizing the person who had worked on me, saying that she doesn't like her energy and this and that, whatever about that person. And that could have been the reason why I felt the way I felt, because she has this bad energy, whatever. And as I read her message, I found myself smiling, not because I agreed, but because I understood what she was doing. This was her way of seeking connection. And I understood it, because that's exactly what I used to do. And I think she wasn't trying to be unkind. She was looking for common ground, even if it meant bonding through judgment. And I have previously observed this person talking to a family member of mine, and they were both doing the same thing, talking about people, criticizing them. And I remember I felt extremely uncomfortable in that situation. And since we were at the same table, having lunch together, instead of leaving, because that would have been kind of unpolite, I don't know, but I just kept quiet. That was my way of separating myself from the act of judgment. I didn't agree with her observations this time either about the lady who gave me the session. Or at least I didn't want to have the same point of view, that yes, I felt unwell because the lady had bad energy and all that. And I also didn't want to dive into judgment or make her feel bad by calling her out. But at the same time, I didn't want to ignore her message entirely, so I was thinking what to do. So I just chose a simple response. I gave her message a heart. And I think reactions like this are beautiful because they allow us to acknowledge someone's attempt to connect without needing to say a word, without needing to agree. And by sending her a heart, I wasn't shutting her down, nor was I participating in the criticism. It was just my way of sending love and staying out of judgment. And I'm not telling you this story trying to say that I am a better person than her, because I am not. The story is about recognizing what is behind someone's actions and choosing differently. And I share this story with you because the next time maybe someone comes to you in this unique way of bonding, seeking validation through criticism or gossip, you have another option. Instead of jumping on the wagon, as they say, or ignoring them, you can send them a heart. And it doesn't have to mean anything specific. You don't have to agree with them. It's just a small gesture of love and kindness that doesn't fuel the cycle of judgment. Now, I invite you to look deeper into what judgment really is. Okay, let's get a definition on it. Because many of us thought that judgment is necessary. It's a way of discerning right from wrong, good from bad. But is it truly a contribution to your life, or is it a limitation? I'm not talking about situations where you are judging if a situation is safe or unsafe. That is called observation. But rather the kind of judgment that labels people, labels experiences, or even yourself as good or bad, right or wrong. Because this type of judgment doesn't just define the world around you, it confines it, it limits it. When you judge, you create resistance, and resistance keeps energy stuck. But when you shift into observation without labeling, you allow things to just flow through you and through your space without attaching unnecessary weight to them. What if, instead of judging, you simply just noticed? What if you allowed everything to be as it is without making it significant or personal? I think that when you judge others, it's never about them, it's about you. Judgment is a mirror that reflects the parts of you that you have decided are wrong or broken or unworthy. And every time you point a finger outward, 3 fingers point back at you. So the question is, are you willing to look at what those fingers are pointing to? Judging others is a distraction from the one thing that most people avoid: awareness. It's much easier to just see what's wrong in someone else than to be present with yourself and acknowledge where you're functioning from judgment in your own life. And the judgments you project onto others often reveal the areas where you have the greatest potential for change, but only if you are willing to drop the facade and get honest with yourself. Imagine that you're at a coffee shop, and you see someone walk in wearing an outfit and you find it unflattering. And immediately your mind starts forming opinions like, why would they wear that? Or that doesn't suit them, or it looks ugly, or whatever, right? And in that moment, your judgment creates an energetic contraction within you. And your body tenses slightly, and your mind locks onto that thought. And you might even feel a sense of superiority or irritation. Now, what if instead of judging, you simply just observed? This person chose this outfit today. No story, no opinion, no whatever, just noticing. Suddenly there's no resistance, no energetic density, just neutrality. The moment passes and your energy remains open and flowing. The same principle applies to deeper judgments, whether it's about a colleague's work ethic or a friend's choice or choices, or even your own perceived flaws. And when you judge, you attach weight to something, reinforcing its presence in your reality. But when you observe without judgment, you create space for ease, freedom, and transformation. And I noticed actually a few times in my life that when I judge something about people, like, why do they have dandruff on their shoulders? How disgusting it is. Within a few weeks or months, I would experience the same. I would get dandruffs. And it happened with other things as well. And I've seen it with people that I know, that there was this guy who was judging everyone who was fat. He said, oh, I don't like fat people. Oh, look at that belly and all that. And a few years later, he became huge. So I kind of connected the dots. It is true that when you judge something, then all of a sudden you have this resistance towards it, and you kind of create this energetic density. You get that stuck in your reality, and a lot of the times you attract that thing to be true for yourself as well. So get out of it. Get out of it before it's too late. Back to the example of someone walking into the coffee shop and you see them and you don't like their outfit. You might wonder what's wrong with judging someone's outfit and thinking that one looks better than the other. Are we not supposed to have preferences? Isn't it just natural to have preferences? Yeah, but the key difference is that having a preference is about personal choice, right? While judgment kind of adds a layer of criticism or right and wrong. A preference is simply a choice, an acknowledgement of what aligns with you, what feels good, or what you enjoy. It comes from awareness and not from resistance. For example, preferring tea over coffee or warm weather over cold is just recognizing what works for you, what's best for you and your body and your mood, whatever, right? But judgment, on the other hand, carries an emotional charge and a sense of right or wrong. It creates resistance and separation. That's the key word. So if you say, I prefer this tea, that's a natural statement. But if you say, coffee is disgusting and people who drink it have terrible taste, that's judgment. The key difference is allowance. You can have preferences while still allowing others to have theirs without making them or yourself wrong. Judgment contracts, while preferences, when chosen with awareness, allows freedom. So ask yourself, what would happen if you let go of judgment? Not just of others, but of yourself too. Now, if you're here watching channels like this, it's likely because you want to become more conscious, self-aware, right? And that's beautiful. So how about remembering that consciousness includes everything and judges nothing? It's about being in allowance, allowing everything and everyone to be as they are without resistance or rejection. When you judge, you kind of step out of consciousness and you step into separation. And that limits your whole life. You disconnect from the infinite possibilities that are always available to you, and you shrink your world into this rigid framework of right versus wrong, good versus bad. So what can you do instead of judging? Start with a question. When you find yourself judging someone, and we often do, just pause and ask, what's right about this person that I am not seeing? Or what am I unwilling to acknowledge about myself that this situation is showing me? Let me repeat that because these are brilliant questions. Maybe you want to write them down. What's right about this person that I am not seeing? What am I unwilling to acknowledge about myself that this situation is showing me? Open-ended questions open doors to awareness, and judgment slams them shut. Here's the gift in all of this. When you stop judging, you set yourself free. You release the burden of needing to be right, perfect, or superior. You create space for true connection, not only with others, but with yourself as well. And in that space, something magical happens. You become aware of the infinite possibilities for your life. So what does judging others say about you? It says that you have forgotten who you truly are. An infinite being capable of perceiving, knowing, and creating beyond the limitations of judgment. Are you ready to remember? Like, share, and subscribe for more, and I hope to see you around. Take care. Bye-bye.